Hello, fellow Africans. This is Kabelo Lioness, and we are on Creating a Better Africa, episode 12. Well, today I'm so honored to be seated with our only founder of Dijong. You guys will have to excuse me. There's a lot of milestones that he achieved that I decided to write them down. So he's basically the former University of Limpopo SRC president, currently the UL chairperson of alumni and convocation. And our guest is Lekoko Jacob Nkadimeng. How are you?
I'm fine, ma'am, and yourself?
I'm okay, and thank you for honoring the invite.
Likewise.
So I'm captured on the former SRC chairperson history. So how was it, and did you do it because you one day you want to preside the nation, or was it something that you just had yourself in it?
Well, I think I come from a family that has always been politically active.
Sure.
They've played a very significant role in the fight against apartheid.
Yeah.
And the rich history that I was exposed to, political history that I was exposed to, eventually shaped my mindset.
Sure.
So when I came to the university, I had a thirst for political activism. So I ended up being a student activist. I led the ANC Youth League at branch level, and eventually I was chosen to lead as an SRC president. So I think it's just something that it came because of where I came from.
Sure. So, okay, in this manner, would I say, do you want to see yourself presiding over the nation one day?
Well, I would like to contribute towards nation building, but not at the level of being the nation's first citizen. There are those who are cut out for that. Characteristically, I think I'm not designed to preside such a huge responsibility.
Okay, but then contributing is also a major role, right?
Yes, of course.
Okay, so let me go straight to the questions that I have for you. So if you were to be described on a billboard in 2 words, how would you want it to be?
On a billboard?
Yeah, that's a whole
2 words.
big thing, yeah.
I think the best way to describe myself in 2 words is humble giant. I'm a humble giant.
That's big. And then because everything that you have achieved, the milestones that you've achieved, I want to know, like, I'm actually convinced that consistency was there, So
Yeah.
what does it mean for you? How would you describe it and define it?
Consistency.
Sure.
I think consistency is the ability to wake up every morning, irrespective of how you feel, do the same thing over and over again, and whether or not people are cheering for you or not, you still do it without losing enthusiasm. I think that's consistency for me, a definition of consistency for me.
And we know when it comes to baby steps, like literally there's barely everyone clapping for you. Literally you're on your own.
Really, you're on your own,
Sure.
but you wake up every day, every morning, no matter how you feel. Consistency does not have to do with your feelings. It has to do with what you want to achieve. And you have to do it the same way over and over again until something comes out.
So would you say consistency comes after you know your why? Like, why am I doing this? Or
Yeah, of course. They say there are 2 most important dates in a person's life. Is the day you are born and the day you find out why.
sure.
So after you
yeah.
find out why you are born, then you'll be consistent about achieving your objectives as a person who knows the purpose that they serve on this planet.
Well, that's mouthful. And then I want to
Yeah.
talk about entrepreneurship. Like I said, he's a founder of Dijong Lifestyle.
Yeah.
What fascinates you about entrepreneurship?
Look, what fascinates me about entrepreneurship is that you never have a full understanding of problem solving. Problems evolve, As an entrepreneur, you wake up every day to solve problems. So once you master this particular problem, another one emerges.
Oh, yeah.
And then you now become a student of that particular problem, and then you learn it, you master it. Immediately you're about to graduate from that particular problem, another one comes. So I think one thing about entrepreneurship is, though of course some do it for the profit motive, but at the same time, I think it's all about problem solving and giving solutions, at the same time earning something for that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And when you kept on saying that whenever you feel like you're graduating, something comes up, it reminds me of DJ Spoo when he said nobody really arrives. I think.
No,
yeah.
No. Because for every journey that ends is the beginning of another.
Oh yeah.
You see? Yeah.
So, amid your entrepreneurship path, do you wish if there was something you knew before you ventured into that?
Yeah, I think there is something that I knew. I wish I knew. When I started, I had saved up a couple of cents. And I thought out of this cents, I'll instantly become a success or make, I don't like saying make a million, but make a decent living.
Okay.
But I wish I knew that the spending or investment on your business never stops.
Oh, yeah.
In as much as you want your business to grow big, your packet must also grow big. You must continuously put in money in your business. So the little that you are able to survive from, the rest of it goes to the business. And I wish I knew that in entrepreneurship or when establishing a business, you are the one who pays yourself last when everything is done.
After salary.
After salaries, your rent, your stock, your malicious spending, your sundry spending, you are the one who pays yourself last. And you must always put yourself last because you work with human beings who sacrifice everything to help you achieve your dream.
True.
Yes.
Basically a team, right?
A team. Yes.
So we know entrepreneurship has got a lot of ups and downs, like there's a lot of things happening in it. But would you choose it any day, every day? Would you choose it?
Look, after a lengthy self-introspection or a conversation, a deep conversation with myself, I learned myself that I'm one person who won't fit well in an employment structure where I have to report to someone. So by virtue of that, I think entrepreneurship is the only thing that I think can work for me. Because I like being in control of my time, I like being in control of my resources, I like being in control of my scope of work. So if someone has to allocate those things for me, I think one way or the other, I will find myself in disciplinary hearings, you see.
Yeah, it's fine if you know yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, you know, in entrepreneurship or anything, there's a lot of, you have to adapt as a human being. Like, there's a lot of changes, you know. So, I want to ask you, how can one master an expertise or they can continue to improve whenever there are changes significantly, either has to do digitally or with the fourth industrial revolution? How does one master the expertise in the industry?
Look, you know, there's one quote that people usually say when they speak about change. If you resist change, you are trapped in the past. And change is all about adaptation. If you don't adapt, you die. Not literally dying, but if you don't adapt, you die.
Yeah,
so
die.
If you have ideas that you want to advance or achieve, if they are not going to work within the confines of change and the confines of development, they will die. So I think in a business that is orientated by human beings and human beings who come at a different age in each and every year, because look, the business is situated next to the University of Limpopo.
Sure.
Now, you are always going to have a young constituency, but this young constituency that comes, it has its own culture from time to time. Every 3 years or 5 years, culture and trends develop. So as a business, even if myself, you know, if I age more than my business, my mindset will be way ahead of what is currently happening.
True.
So it's upon myself to have skills that empower young people who are on the ground, young people who can help me make my business adapt to the current needs of the customer. So if I'm not going to be inclined to what is currently happening, I'm going to be trapped in the past.
True.
And eventually my business will die if it fails to adapt.
Guys, I'm a student here. I hope your students out there as well, and I hope you've got your notepad because I believe there's more knowledge coming. So I want to take us for a quick break, but I want to ask you first because I searched your bio and then I found something like you are fanatic about cars, you love food, you love gym. So I want you to choose between food and gym. What if you had to choose one?
I'll choose gym. Because for every day that you spend in the gym, you buy a second or a minute of your life. So if you spend 10 years in the gym, you might have found yourself in a situation that you actually bought 2 additional layers of your lifespan. So food comes, food you can manage it, but if you eat well but you don't exercise, I think it will all be in vain. You'll have an internal good system, but externally the body is not strong enough to carry this good system. So I think gym comes first, because whenever you exercise, I think you are buying an additional day on your,
and most of the time you find it okay. Someone can have the intent of doing it for body, but apparently or well knowingly it does improve to your like to your physical, to your physique, to everything.
Mental health.
Everything. Yes.
Mental health. I think the in-weight these days amongst young people. Unfortunately, when we were young, very young, we never had the liberty to fully understand the complexities around mental health. We labeled people, when I was stubborn, when I was moody, when I are a crybaby, forgetting that, well, there's an aspect of mental health that this person is actually suffering. Renato does just tell you, even if you're in a bad mood, to say, wake up and do this and that, wake up and do that and that, But so now you also know that one of the fundamental contributing factors to mental health is gym, it's exercise, healthy lifestyle, healthy relationships, stuff like that.
An additional question to it, is it about being a morning person who wins the day after the gym, or you recommend gymming anytime?
Any time of the day, because human beings are different. Some of us have a very low energy level in the morning.
Sure.
There are people who can sleep up until 12. I think maybe during your studying you've met people who function like animals that hunt at night. I don't know the proper word for it, but there are people during the day who are sleeping. At night the energy level is up. They can study until 4 a.m.
They call them night owls, actually.
Something like that. So gymming any time of the day, man. Some gym at lunch. Any time of the day you go to gym during its operational hours, you find people there. So it means there are people who gym in the morning, there are people who gym during the day, there are people gymming at night. So you just have to find what works for you.
That's amazing. Guys, we've had the first part of this episode and we'll be back after the break. Thank you. Welcome back to Creating a Better Africa, episode 12 with Lekoko, Jacob, Nkadimeng. Guys, we're still continuing with entrepreneurship, his entrepreneurship path and leadership path. So I saw a quote one time on your feed. You said something like, in a world full of copies, being original is the way. So I want you to unpack it as if like you're unpacking it to a 15-year-old in maintaining the significance of the quote.
Well, I think now it's quite sad actually that we live in an era of so much societal pressure. Everyone wants to appear like they're actually winning. Everyone wants to prove to their peers that they are making something out of themselves. And there are so many societal ills that many young people fall prey to because of their hunger for materialistic things that have nothing to do with what they've worked for, So now, with all this pressure surrounding all these young people, for a young person to wake up and still believe in the same value system that he or she was taught at home and live by it every day and make a person out of themselves without succumbing to the earthly desires and requirements that are set up today, that is a win. A person who can remain original to the values that they were raised in and become something surrounded by all these pressures. The weaves, the champagnes, guys, the cars, the clothes, and all these things, man. Like, if you are still able to enjoy yourself, be happy, stick to the same value system and value code that you got from home, you won. So that's why I say, in a world full of so many people who are trying to be another person, being an original is a win. I think, that's what I meant by that.
Yeah. And that, I think, gets you to focus in your own lane. And like, you're clearly focused because you're not trying to imitate or be a template of someone else. Wow, that's deep. That's deep. And then, there's a lot of sayings, and I've heard actually in person about unhealthy work environments. Like people complain about how unhealthy the environment is. So I want to know and you to educate my audiences on how can one maintain a healthy environment ecosystem for their workers.
Well, of course, there is a framework that is theoretical sometimes, This framework is theoretical. It tells us about how to manage a business and how to manage the human resource aspect of the business. But the most fundamental thing that these theoretical interventions within operating a business forget to outline is that we are working with human beings,
Sure.
social beings,
Sure.
beings that are controlled by emotions. So sometimes, even if you have a proper working structure, it still has human elements inside. So sometimes, even if you have a very well structured working structure within your business, it does sometimes from here to there have problems because of human beings, how they feel. You find that a person is sad and then they don't conduct themselves very well when dealing with customers. But the general framework that we have in the business is a framework that has accountability and line of management.
Oh yeah, accountability.
Accountability. And you need to understand that accountability is a very burning issue now currently in the country. No one is accountable for anything. I mean, I was watching the Parliamentary Portfolio Committee that was discussing the escape of one currently famous criminal who escaped the country, went to a certain country.
Sure.
But when the people came there to explain what actually happened, you could see that there is lack of accountability.
Oh yeah.
So people are a bit sad, or they become very angry when you make them accountable. But I think if you have a structure that people know what is expected of them, what do they do, and they put the needs of the customer first, whatever it is that they feel doesn't matter. As long as the people that they came here and applied to say, we are here to serve these particular individuals who are patrons, as long as they make those people happy, we are fine.
Okay. And I think also the workers have to be happy but accountable, isn't it?
Accountable in the same time. But it's very difficult to keep them happy and accountable at the same time. Because if you have a policy that says you break, you pay, the moment they break, you make them pay, for that particular 20 minutes, the person is off. Now when you come happy, like, hi ma'am, can you help me? And then you find a moody person. And that's what I'm trying to work against, to say, irrespective of the policies of the work environment, as long as they are not exploitative, they are not degrading, you know, as long as they are not that, then other policies that you adhere to, irrespective of how you feel about them, put your feelings aside. Put the needs of the customer first.
I think they call it emotional intelligence.
Emotional intelligence, yes.
Sure. Okay, so what is it out of business to you? What is it that you continue or you retain to learn about life from life?
Outside business.
Yeah, or any, like, you can generalize everything.
What I'm trying to learn out of life, I think this lesson came during COVID, where every morning we're losing people that were far from us and thinking that it can never affect us. It started being our neighbors, it started being our family members. And, you know, during that era, even people who were titans of industries, significant people with money, some of them lost their lives. So after a few days, I saw that, well, we were mourning this one, now this one is in the picture, we forgot about this one. So it means in life, irrespective of who you are, what you do, people will forget about you.
Sure.
So why not live a life that is self-fulfilling? It's about keeping you happy, making you a better person, and making you a better person for people who will miss you when you're gone.
Oh yeah.
You know, that is what is important. You become a better person for immediate people who will miss you when you're gone. So I think the lesson that I learned out of that is that you must always do things that make you happy. Never leave a moment where you are trying to satisfy people, you are living life according to somebody's barometer of standard or whatever. Live life according to your standards. But the most important thing, do not infringe on the interests or rights or whoever of others. You know? Don't do that.
Be a good human, guys. Be a good human being. And then I know you love reading books because I studied you. You do, right?
I used to now time, and I only read, a few pages, leave it, come back 2 weeks, start again. But I think, from time to time, I do get time to browse through books. This year alone, I think I bought 5 new books. I've not touched them as yet. It's embarrassing, but I think the year hopefully will end with me finishing them.
Okay, so I actually wanted to ask you about a line that you once read and it had you like mind blowing, like any line from one of the books that you read. Or you can have a saying or a quote.
Because I'm in business and I interact with a lot of people, especially on transactional matters.
Sure.
Sometimes, you work with people, and then when it's supposed to be time for payment, they expect more because they think they did more. Sometimes you expect them to charge less because they did less, but in their eyes they did more. So there's a quote that I read, I think it was by Karl Marx or Frederick Engels, between the two. One of the forefathers of revolutionary history that has to do with the struggle of the working class. It says, from each according to need, to each according to ability. Meaning that you earn according to your ability and according to your needs.
Sure.
But if you don't have the ability to earn, then you cannot develop needs that are beyond your earning ability. So I think that's the problem with many people, that they have expectations that are beyond their earning ability. That's where the problem is. So I still live by that quote. Whenever I clarify issues, I usually say, from each according to need, to each according to your earning ability, something like that.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, let me repeat it. From each according to need, from each according to ability.
No. From each according to need, to each according to ability.
Oh, from each according to need,
To each according to ability.
Okay.
Thank you.
I think if you live by that every day, guys, the more you'll be accountable, the more you learn a lot, and the more you'll face.
And the more you'll understand why
Yeah.
certain people have what they have.
And it's an awakenment type of a code.
They have
for
a
living.
superior
Sure.
ability than
Sure,
yours. Because
sure.
they've invested in themselves.
Sure.
Now their earning ability is superior from yours. What you have to do is to invest in yourself to have a big earning ability.
Self-development, that's
Thank you.
it. All right. And then if you were to write a book,
Come again?
if you were to write a book, what would be the title?
The unconventional journey of a village boy. I mean, I'm from humble beginnings. I grew up in Amarishan, Jenfes, and from where I grew up, humble beginnings, everything else that I experience is a bonus. It's a bonus. It's a bonus. I've never saw myself as a person who can be where I am because I'm from a village, humble beginnings. So whatever I do now is a bonus. So that's why I say the unconventional life of a village boy.
But then, even though you're coming from humble beginnings, was your vision widened, or it just widened when life happened to be this?
It widened up through education. It widened up through life experience, because I believe that education shapes your thoughts. It opens your eyes. Some say education gives you a third eye. It gives you a better operational framework of thinking. So yeah, I think it's because of that.
And heading to almost last questions, there's a time where I sidelined gents because I was interviewing a lady to motivate ladies. But then, what would you say to fellow gents right now? Because there's a lot of pressure coming from guys. Well, both genders, but I feel like gents need some words like my ladies did last time.
What are ways that we can give to gents?
Yeah.
For them to be motivated.
Yeah, or something. A weekend, minding their own business.
No,
without
look,
pressure.
to gents, man, I mean, you are kings. Your families look up to you. You pave your own path. You face your own challenges. But at the end of the day, you are the one who's responsible to writing your own destiny. So whatever you face, whatever you do, never give up. There's a reason why this life was given to you and not somebody else. So please be an example that you really do deserve this life and make something out of it. I think that's what I can say to gents. And be gentle with the ladies. Let us keep the pandemic of GBV, whereby every now and then we hear that there's a child or a woman who was abused or murdered or killed and stuff like that. So I think gents need to really have control over their emotions, because I know Siagoisha, all of us, have problems, they have theirs, but let's just try to be gentle with the children and the women.
And guys, please try to repeat this and until it sinks to your mind because it's very important and deep. So what would you say to our fellow Africans? Like this is for everyone. Yes. Fellow Africans.
Well, what I'd like to say to fellow Africans is that the solutions to problems affecting the African population, the solutions are within the African mind.
Sure.
We've been channeled and indoctrinated to think that everything that can come in a form of an aid to Africa has to come through a Western hand. And African minds are very exploited in other parts of the world, but no one can know that this is an African mind because it comes through the European mouth. So Africans are the solutions to their own problems, and Africans must use education as an instrument to advance economic freedom. I think that's what Africans need to do. And in the next year or the next years to come, Africans must emancipate themselves. They must have access to their mineral resources. They must develop their own countries, and they must withstand Western pressure that dictates to them how to live within their African value systems. That is what I have as a message to Africans.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. This is our ending. And then, thank you so much, guys, for watching. Please check out the video. And after watching it, share it with your other friends. Tell them to watch and subscribe. See you in episode 13. Mwah.
Thank you.